It's outstanding. I'm managing like our calls, AP's calls, decision desk calls. So I'm losing track. Can we talk about two of those races that are up there?
Yep.
Just because I think this is the Alaska at large and Maine too. Right. These are both, we're not going to get the official tally on these for a while because they're ranked choice voting and there's like a date certain at which they do.
This will be November 23rd in Alaska. They'll run it there. They'll run it sooner in Maine. This is the same sort of dynamic we saw in the special election over the summer. Peltola is the incumbent because she won a special election over the summer. Exact same set of candidates. If it does finish in this order, that's the order it finished this summer. Begich got eliminated. His voters' second choice were reallocated. Peltola won the seat. So this is setting up. It was narrow, but this is setting up right now the same way it did over the summer. And then Maine 2, that ranked choice runoff will be held sooner, although you can see the Democrat here, Jared Golden, is already sitting at 49.2%. He's close to 50, significantly ahead of the Republican challenger here. So even if this does go to that ranked choice runoff here, Poliquin would need to overwhelmingly win the third-party votes here. In fact, we saw this in 2018. Golden and Poliquin, same set of candidates. Golden was the challenger there, won it on a ranked choice runoff. So those are Maine 2 Democrats of this entire list of seats here. I think Maine 2 is one Democrats maybe feel the best about. There are a few others that they feel good about. The problem for them is if they're trying to get to 218, there are some on here right now where the numbers are, we say the numbers are starting to look a little prohibitive against Kari Lake in Arizona. There are some of these districts where they might be prohibitive for Democrats with a few more updates. They're going to need some surprises if they want to actually get to 218.
Yeah, and we should see Arizona 6 as one of those, I think, where they're kind of staring down a tough go again.
That was that Pima County update we just got a few minutes ago. So the Pima County portion of the 6th district is not as Democratic as the rest of the county. And in fact, it allowed the Republican advantage now for the first time to move north of 3,000 votes. So that's gone up almost 1,500 votes just in the course of today. Democrats, I think, are running out of votes there. And this is the one we're waiting on in Maricopa County, Dave Schweiker. It was last night's update was the first one that put Schweiker into the lead in this district. This is what I'm saying. That update last night that Kari Lake got 55% in. Schweiker, was running a little bit better than that, but, basically the same. Wasn't enough to put Lake in position to imminently win the race, but it might be enough for Schweiker, where if he gets another update like he got last night, again, he could put enough distance between himself and Hodge that it becomes prohibitive for the Democrats. And again, the Democrats really, I think, wanted to get both of these Arizona seats. Without them, they're not eliminated, but they just really need, they need some surprises here.
Final thing in that district, Schweiker's an incumbent. What was that? What is that Arizona 1 Biden-Trump?
So there was redistricting here that made this a Biden district original, under the lines.
So that's basically a dead even district.
And Schweiker was seen as, rightly, just based on these results, as one of the more vulnerable Republicans, one of about a dozen running in a district that Biden carried under the new configuration. Didn't change too dramatically, but it changed enough to put him in some jeopardy there. But again, those Maricopa County updates, we're saying Kari Lake needs 67%, name your number in the mid to high 60s. If Schweikert's even getting 51% in his district of what comes out in this Maricopa batch, he will build on this lead here, and it gets that much tougher for Democrats.
All right. We're gonna keep you there. We're looking at Maricopa coming in. We're also looking at some implications that might arise for congressional races. So we will check back in. Coming up, Republicans across the country ran, like Kari Lake, on the big lie, and in nearly every major race, the election deniers came up short. Democratic Congressman Ruben Gallego joins me on the fading power of the Trump playbook. Next.
Alice loves this.
Can a handyman fix my leaky faucet?
How much does it cost to have my HVAC checked?
How do I know I have mold?
Why do water pipes break?
Home questions don't have to keep you up at night. Get peace of mind with Thumbtack. We'll connect you with local pros for any home project, from a small fix to a big remodel. See transparent prices, read verified reviews, and book with just a tap. Thumbtack, the easy way to care for your home.
We're Carvana, the company who invented car vending machines and buying a car 100% online. Now we've created a brand new way for you to sell your car. Whether it's a year old or a few years old, we want to buy your car. So go to Carvana, enter your license plate, answer a few questions, and our techno wizardry calculates your car's value and gives you a real offer in seconds. When you're ready, we'll come to you, pay you on the spot, and pick up your car. That's it. So ditch the old way of selling your car and say hello to the new way at Carvana.
I can't afford this. Yeah, you can. Who are you? I'm you from the future, and I just got paid.
And I'm Dave. I can get you up to $500 of your future money now.
$500 instantly?
Instantly.
Awesome. And why are we naked?
After this, you're gonna check into a nudist resort.
They have free Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm, and volleyball.
Cool.
Download Dave and get up to $500 instantly. No interest, no credit check.
Blenders brings the beach to the mountain. It's the same philosophy as our shades. Great quality, cushy comfort, and progressive style that shakes up the status quo. Whether you're a season pass shredder, a family searching for the perfect getaway, or just want to add more color to your kit, spend less on gear and more on lift tickets this year. Out with the old, in with the bold. Blenders.
I'm super excited because today I'm taking the Everlywell metabolism test. I've really been focusing on getting my hormones in check and thought this would be the perfect opportunity to learn a little bit more about my hormones that can affect both my energy and my weight. This is an at-home lab test and you can collect the sample from the comfort of your own home, ship it back with the prepaid shipping label, and then I'll get the results right to my phone. I'm super excited to get my results and love how easy the whole process was, and highly recommend trying Everlywell if you want to take control of your health too.
For years, I've called for a monarchy that reflects the world outside.
I don't think it's my behavior that's threatening its survival.
People will never understand how it's really been for me. I never stood a chance.
What the hell is she doing?
How did it come to this?
The Clade family
I want you to come with me on an expedition.
just crash landed.
Where in the world are we?
In a strange world.
Will you get that off your head?
Now they must come together.
They're finally getting along.
Right?
They're basically the same person.
Watch out!
My bad.
To find their way home.
Come on, we got a world to save.
I'm for a barbecue. How are you my dad?
When two people love each other.
Stop talking! Stop talking!
Disney's Strange World. Rated PG. Only in theaters November 23rd.
I dip when the mood don't feel right. I change like the colors of a sunrise. Not scared of the dark, I'm a highlight. I do what I want to.
Limited edition fragrance. Only by Glade. SC Johnson.
That's the right choice for me.
Call 1-800-330-5494 now to talk with a certified debt consultant. There's no obligation, no upfront settlement fee. 1-800-330-5494 or go to freedomrelief.com.
When you go back and you watch people from high school, it's always fascinating to see how they turned out. Yeah. You have been the straightest line of anybody I've ever seen. Yeah, I can't. Here, take a look.
33 seats, or 1/3 of the Senate, will be up for re-election in 1994. The Senate balance is 56-44 for the Democrats as of this moment. That's all for now. There's other races. Perhaps another time I'll talk about more.
I wish it ended with like, and one day I'm gonna have a giant map.
American democracy dodged a potentially fatal bullet in the midterms as voters rejected basically all of the high-profile election deniers in the crucial swing states, all except in one race that's still outstanding. We were just discussing Kari Lake's bid for governor in Arizona. The losers include the Secretary of State candidates with power over their state's elections in the key states of Arizona, Michigan, and Nevada. That's Mark Finchem in Arizona, Jim Marchant in Nevada. In fact, Marchant formed a coalition of candidates who all promoted the big lie and were running to be in place for 2024, essentially as a pro-coup ticket. We're going to fix the whole country, Marchant said, and President Trump is going to be president again in 2024. So that was the promise. And people don't usually pay very close attention to Secretary of State races, understandably. This year, though, Democrats and anti-Trump Republicans worked to make sure they knew that if election deniers won, their future votes might not count.
He's a conspiracy theorist, and member of an extremist militia. Now, Mark Fincham wants to be Arizona's Secretary of State. That would give him considerable power over elections, but Fincham still denies the results of the last one. He led the effort to discard legitimate votes, helped organize the January 6th protests where police were attacked, then said politicians should have the power to decide elections, not voters. It all means if Fincham wins now, you lose.
Joining me now, Congressman Ruben Gallego, who's a Democrat in Arizona, where he has watched these races unfold up close. And Congressman, Steve was just saying, and I think it's true, that there was no state, no swing state, with a more uniform sort of pro-Trump, pro-big lie statewide ticket than your state. How worried were you about Fincham? How much were you sweating that race?
I wasn't really sweating that race. Once I knew that, number one, Adrian Fontes was the nominee, and number two, that there was enough money coming in to actually get the message out. I think Arizonans, at the end of the day, are a fairly moderate lot. Even though we may be a little conservative on some side, we do believe in democracy and the fact that Fincham was an insurrectionist, was a known insurrectionist, was also part of the Oath Keepers. I think at the end of the day was going to bring him down, and clearly it has. Yeah, and there's also a money issue here, which is interesting. I'm curious what it looked like from where you are in terms of the ads, but this really jumped out at me. $50 million was spent on television advertising in 4 states, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, Minnesota. Democrats had a 10-to-1 spending advantage. So there was, Democrats were able to raise a lot of money for these sort of candidates running against the kind of pro-coup folks. And I'm wondering, I know what things looked like in my media market, how that looked in Arizona. Well, what looked like in Arizona was that there was a very pro-democracy message that was going out. But look, we were fighting in a midterm, and in a swing state like Arizona, you're really fighting at a deficit when you're fighting in a midterm. So we had to spend more money for us to even get up to even. And then we obviously had a really good candidate. We had a really good opposition candidate, obviously that helps. And then we actually had a lot of outside help too. So all together, it didn't make a difference, but it's dangerous that we have to take care of this at the general election. The Republicans should actually be taking care of this themselves. The fact that they have insurrectionists, election deniers, literally people that actually are advocating for fascism running in their primaries really is a very dangerous situation. The Republicans should really know and learn how to school their own party. Yeah, and obviously Arizona's had a bunch of hairy sort of experiences. There was a sort of protest outside Maricopa County Board of Elections in 2020. All sorts of characters there. Some, I think, open carrying, if I recall correctly. You had these kind of vigilantes showing up outside ballot drop boxes until they were ordered by a federal court order to stop doing that. You now have Kari Lake, who is behind by about 30,000 votes. It's not a called race. It's possible she pulls that out. But there was some interesting reporting over the weekend about Kari Lake, who has been one of the most sort of aggressive election deniers. In fact, Donald Trump praised her in a private phone call to Blake Masters for the fact that she talked about 2020 being rigged every single time she could. And this is from some reporting inside her, quote, war room, where Republicans prepare for likely loss. Kari Lake, staring on a likely loss, is being advised by GOP operatives and some of her closest aides to take a measured approach should she come up short in the vote tally and not storm the castle. How much are the folks in your state trying to game out what a non-conceded to loss would look like in this event? We're not thinking about that. If you decide not to concede, you're just a loser. So we're not worried about you. As a matter of fact, you want to go down as being an ignorant loser. Congratulations. It's not going to help you in future elections. So go ahead. Go at it, Kari. Look, and if you want to storm the castle, you're storming the castle against a lot of Maricopa County police officers. We're not falling for this BS anymore. You want to try to do that, you're going to be met with a lot of resistance. That's something you may have tried in 2020. We're not doing this anymore. You lose, game over. We're moving on. We're not going to try to mitigate these people. We're not trying to assuage them anymore. If they want to wallow in their sorrow and they want to come up with excuses, good. Live with that and move on. We won. Time to, deal with reality. All right, Congressman Ruben Gallego, who represents Arizona in the U.S. Congress. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. All right, there's still a lot we don't know about the races that will decide control of the House. Kornacki is back with us after this.
welcome to the neighborhood. Now, did you know that Geico could help with your homeowner's insurance?
Cookies?
Oh, it's my mum's secret recipe.
Put a little nutmeg in there?
It's a secret.
Is it cinnamon?
It's my mum's secret recipe.
Geico.
Thanks to Chase, Angie's not sweating this text since there's 0 overdraft fees if she overdraws by $50 or less. And Kyle? Well, he's keeping calm with another day to adjust his balance if he overdraws by more than $50. Overdraft assist from Chase. Make more of what's yours.
At Avocado, we believe in a better today and a better tomorrow. Let's take the family on an adventure to a strange world where we embrace the wonders of nature and make the planet a better place. Discover certified organic mattresses for the whole family at avocadomattress.com. And see Disney's Strange World in theaters November 23rd, rated PG.
For the good of Christmas,
Are you seeing this?
I'm retiring. It's its dad, me. I'm going to spend Christmas with my family. I've got to go back to the North Pole. Elves are disappearing.
Elves are disappearing? You should have led with that.
Give the gift of comfort this holiday season with Tommy John. We've reimagined pajamas and loungewear with innovative fabrics that are lightweight, breathable, and insanely soft. The fit looks and feels amazing. We can guarantee your comfort whether you're working from home, relaxing with the kids, or streaming your favorite show. These are pajamas and loungewear to swear by, but the only 4-letter word we use is soft. Go to TommyJohn.com now and get 20% off your first order with code TV20.
All right, it's today.
How did I get in?
All right, boy, here we go.
Nothing brings the pack together like a trip to Great Wolf Lodge.
Looking for the best price on it? Kelley Blue Book Price Advisor it. Does it need fixing? Kelley Blue Book Service and Repair Guide it. Want to sell or trade it? Do it in an instant with Kelley Blue Book's Instant Cash Offer. For all of the its, KBB.com.
To help protect from HIV, I prep without pills.
With Apretude, a prescription medicine used to reduce the risk of HIV without daily PrEP pills, with one shot every other month, just 6 times a year. In studies, Apretude was proven superior to a daily PrEP pill in reducing the risk of HIV. You must be HIV negative to receive Apretude and get tested before each injection. If you think you were exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms, tell your doctor right away. Apretude does not prevent other sexually transmitted infections. Practice safer sex to reduce your risk. Don't take Apretude if you are allergic to it or taking certain medicines as they may interact. Tell your doctor if you've had liver problems or mental health concerns. If you have a rash or other allergic reactions, stop Apretude and get medical help right away. Serious side effects include allergic reactions, liver problems, and depression. Some of the most common side effects include injection site reactions and headache. You must receive Apretude as scheduled. Ask your doctor about long-acting Apretude. Save at Apretude.com.
Good girl, the feminine fragrance, Carolina Herrera.
New York City, heard it going down. Friday night, midnight.
Bad boy, the masculine fragrance, Carolina Herrera.
At Macy's, the fragrance destination.
Small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
So a huge call was made in this studio on Saturday night when the NBC News Decision Desk projected that incumbent Democratic Senator Catherine Cortez Masto kept her seat, fending off the challenge from Republican Adam Laxalt with that victory. And with that victory, Democrats managed to stay in control of the Senate. They could even expand their majority in that Georgia runoff, which is 22 days from now, but it will not be the race that decides control of the Senate. They will likely hold the Senate leadership election after that. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is expected to keep his title. In fact, he's going to join Rachel Maddow in just the next hour, and I'm anxious to see what he has to say. What's not completely clear, not totally clear, is what happens on the other side, whether his counterpart, the still minority leader, Mitch McConnell, will keep his position as minority leader. We were set to find out Wednesday. That's when Senate Republicans hold their leadership election, with several senators, including Marco Rubio of Florida, Ted Cruz of Texas, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, calling for that vote to be delayed until after the Georgia runoff. As of now, they're not delaying it. Also uncertain is what happens to Kevin McCarthy. Now, House Republicans are meant to hold leadership elections tomorrow. There are reports that Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs, who's a far-right MAGA diehard, may challenge McCarthy, even though control of the House is still not determined at this moment. NBC News senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor joins me right now. And Sahil, we're very used to these sorts of post-election recriminations and finger-pointings among Democrats. We're seeing a little bit more among Republicans than we have over the last few elections, partly, I think, because the big lie kind of smothered that last time around. What's going on in the Senate? There is a real movement to delay these leadership elections, and more people joining, including Lindsey Graham, who I think of as like an ally of leadership. There's a huge letter signed by all these outside people, including Ginny Thomas, saying, what's going on there?
That's right, Chris, and that's largely because Republicans vastly underperformed expectations in the Senate. They were widely expecting to pick up that minimum one seat they needed to capture the majority. Now they have fallen short, and they might even end up down one seat if Democrats end up capturing Georgia in that runoff. Now, Mitch McConnell is facing the greatest threat to his leadership over his 15 years of running the Republican caucus. I say that because he's not had much of a threat at all before, and now there are 8 Republican senators who are public on the record trying to delay the leadership election. Now, that's not going to happen, according to McConnell's leadership team. They are proceeding. A few of us reporters asked him when he was making his way to the Senate floor earlier today whether he has the votes to be elected leader. He said, yeah, of course. He sounds very confident. And that confidence is with some merit, Chris, simply because this is a secret ballot election. McConnell simply needs a majority of his caucus to get, reelected leader. And, 8 is much lower of a number than the dissenters that his critics need to stop him from becoming leader. The other reason is that while people like Donald Trump blame Mitch McConnell for the Republican Party falling short, others blame Donald Trump. Some others blame Rick Scott. I spoke to one Republican senator a few hours ago, Senator Mitt Romney of Utah, and he said the blame here lies largely with Donald Trump. I want to play what Mitt Romney had to say.
Abortion played a much bigger role than we'd anticipated. I think President Trump was an albatross on the electoral prospects of some of our candidates. He helped select some of the people who turned out not to be very effective candidates. I understand he's going to run for president and announce that tomorrow. It's like the aging pitcher who keeps losing games. If we want to win, we need a different pitcher on the mound. And I know there's some fans that love him, but it's time for him to get off the mound because we have a real strong bench.
Now, Romney may be a rare Republican senator willing to say that out loud, but I can guarantee you, Chris, there are many within the party in this Capitol complex who quietly agree with him, who blame Donald Trump for the party's losses. And that's one of the reasons that McConnell is still the favorite on Wednesday to be reelected leader.
Yeah, we should say Cynthia Loomis, I think, of Wyoming, also said something about Ron DeSantis being the future of the party. I saw that today. There's a really nasty public sniping between the Rick Scott and Mitch McConnell camps, which I found really striking. They're going at each other in public. There was also a House meeting today. The House Republican Caucus had a kind of leadership forum today. What can you tell me about that?
That's right. A candidate forum, Chris, it's been going on for hours. It only recently started breaking down. And this is where candidates, make their pitch to, the room full of caucus members about why they want to be leader, why they want to be whip. The one race, of course, that everyone is watching is the race for would-be speaker if Republicans do end up capturing control of the House. I want to be abundantly clear. We have not called that yet, but our projections right now suggest that Republicans are on track to win a majority of 219 to 216. That is the a wafer-thin margin that Republicans, would have if the vote goes as is currently projected, and that means Kevin McCarthy needs 218 votes on the floor of the House to become Speaker. Now, I'm no mathematician, Chris, but that's one fewer than 219, which means he has almost no margin to spare. Tomorrow is a closed-door meeting where he simply needs a majority of his caucus to be nominated Speaker. That's easy. The difficult part is getting elected Speaker on the floor of the chamber on January 3rd, and this is where a number of members coming out of the meeting told reporters today that Kevin McCarthy does not have the votes and they are not prepared to support him. That includes namely far-right members like Matt Gaetz. It includes the chair of the Freedom Caucus, Scott Perry. There are others like Bob Good of Virginia who are also not ready to support McCarthy, but there are many who are also on Kevin McCarthy's side. That includes Jim Jordan, the right-wing Republican who would be in line to chair the Judiciary Committee. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene said she's behind Kevin McCarthy because she fears that Democrats in a wafer-thin Republican majority might be able to peel off some Republicans and elect a Democratic Speaker. That's not going to happen, Chris, but it points to the end game here, which is that the rabble-rousers of the Freedom Caucus need to come up with an alternative, a viable alternative, or it just keeps going to a second and third and fourth ballot, and Kevin McCarthy would ultimately be the favorite in that situation.
Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene was sort of an interesting player here because it's very clear she's looking for concessions. There's also some reporting today about Trump supporting McCarthy behind the scenes. And again, all of that is about leverage, right? I mean, what the folks like Marjorie Taylor Greene and what Donald Trump want is to have a Speaker of the House that effectively they can control, right? Who owes them, who's in debt to them.
And McCarthy has anticipated this moment for a long time now, Chris, which is why he's fought to stay in Donald Trump's good graces every step of the way. He knew that Trump could make or break his potential speakership were Republicans to take control of the House because he would need the votes of many Trump-aligned lawmakers. So that's the situation right now. We don't know exactly what the concessions that they're demanding are. We know in the past that the Freedom Caucus may want things like committee assignments. They may want commitments on certain legislation that would be brought up. They may want procedural things like, legislation gets to be released X hours before a vote. They're not being particularly public about that, but this group, this faction of dozens of House Republicans does have some leverage in the sense that they have been willing to deal embarrassments to Republican leadership on the floor of the House. And that's something that Kevin McCarthy would very much like to avoid early next year, again, if he does get the majority.
All right, Sahil Kapoor, thank you very much. Coming up, we're still waiting on a big cache of votes out of Maricopa County in Arizona with the governor's race at stake. Steve Kornacki standing by. Ahead.
We're Carvana, the company who invented car vending machines and buying a car 100% online. Now we've created a brand new way for you to sell your car. Whether it's a year old or a few years old, we want to buy your car. So go to Carvana, enter your license plate, answer a few questions, and our techno wizardry calculates your car's value and gives you a real offer in seconds. When you're ready, we'll come to you, pay you on the spot, and pick up your car. That's it. So ditch the old way of selling your car and say hello to the new way at Carvana.
Enterprise is ready when you are. For all the, are we there yet? And look at that. The anticipation and conversations in a vehicle that came from Enterprise. With the peace of mind of our complete clean pledge, curbside rentals, and low-touch transactions. Plus so many vehicles of all kinds. So you can relax and focus on the moment. All of them. Enterprise, connecting you to all the places you love.
The battle over a woman's right to choose, global economic challenges, the ongoing threat to democracy. When you sign up for the MSNBC Daily Newsletter, you're signing up to have a deeper understanding of today's biggest issues. Every morning, you'll get written perspectives sent directly to your inbox, written by people you know and trust, along with video highlights from your favorite MSNBC shows.
We are now in a post-fact world.
Sign up for MSNBC Daily at msnbc.com.
If you're loud, be louder. If you stand out, stand strong. And if you got the devil on your shoulder, take him for a ride.
With Flonase, allergies don't have to be scary. Flonase Sensimist provides non-drowsy 24-hour relief in a scent-free, gentle mist. Psst, psst. Flonase, all good.
5 billion people lack access to safe surgery. Thousands of children are suffering and dying from treatable causes. For 40 years, Mercy Ships has deployed floating hospitals to provide the free surgeries these children need. Join us. Together, we can give children the hope and healing they never thought possible. It's a mission powered by love, made possible by you. Give today.
Imagine having to use the wrong tool at your job.
Let's get into the numbers.
Why would a company do that? Especially with HR and payroll software. With Paycom, employees enter and manage their own HR data in a single, easy-to-use software. Visit paycom.com and schedule a demo today.
So you're 45. That's the perfect age to see some old friends, explore new worlds, and to start screening for colon cancer. Yep, with colon cancer rising in adults under 50, the American Cancer Society recommends starting to screen earlier, at age 45. I'm Cologuard, a non-invasive way to screen at home on your schedule, and I find 92% of colon cancers. I'm for people 45 plus at average risk for colon cancer, not high risk. False positive and negative results may occur. Ask your provider if Cologuard is right for you.
Super Emma just about sleeps in her cape, but when we realized she was battling sensitive skin, we switched to...
We just got a big new dump of ballots from Maricopa County. Steve, what's the deal?
And there it is. It just literally updated on our screen. We got 74,000 new votes out of Maricopa County. Remember, this is the last big batch from the last big county outstanding here in Arizona. And Kari Lake does win this batch of votes. She gets 40,575 of them. Katie Hobbs gets 30,825 of them. What does that translate into? Remember, we said Lake probably needs to be in the mid-high 60s. Yep. She gets 57% of this new batch of votes. It breaks 57% for Kari Lake, 43% for Katie Hobbs. That's not the target we set for Kari Lake. And what that means is, if you look at the statewide total, again, Lake was down about 30,000 coming into this dump of votes. She now still trails by more than 20,000 votes, 20,481. That's why she needed such a big margin from this big batch of votes, because Hobbs had built a 30,000 vote lead. She needed to shrink that thing down well under 10,000, maybe under 5,000. Again, what is left now in Arizona? There are some provisional ballots that remain in Maricopa County. There are some cured ballots. There are some counties throughout the rest of the state, some of these rural areas, Republican-friendly areas that have some vote in them. There is still some vote to come from Pima County. That's a strongly Democratic county. But Maricopa County is 60% of the vote in Arizona. And this was the last giant pile of votes from Maricopa County, and it leaves Katie Hobbs the lead here now of 20,000. Put this in some context. Joe Biden won this state narrowly in the 2020 presidential election. This is more than twice the margin Joe Biden had just in raw votes. Joe Biden's number ended up just under 10,000 in Arizona. Hobbs's lead is over 20,000 right now. So for Kari Lake, she was looking for, this has been the story for the past several nights as we've been going through a very particular type of ballot in Maricopa County, mail-in ballots that voters brought in to the polls on Election Day. In Maricopa County, there were nearly 300,000 of them. Republicans were pointing to it all week, first in the Senate race, then in the governor's race, saying this is going to be a Republican-friendly batch of votes. Once you start going through those, Republicans are going to make up ground. They're going to take the lead statewide. That's what they had said. In 2020, it had been a very pro-Trump batch of votes, that type of a same-day drop-off of the mail-in ballots. Lake did do well with those votes. Again, she just got 57% with the last one we got. She got 55% last night. I think she had gotten about 52% with the first batch, or 51% earlier this week. But she needs more than that to erase the kind of deficit that she faces here against Katie Hobbs. And we can also show you Hobbs leading, by nearly a point statewide, 2481. We also have been monitoring that close race for Attorney General, the other outstanding race in the state. And you can see here, we're still waiting on the waiting on the Maricopa update to populate in there. But you can see this is the big news here we've been waiting for all hour. Been a lot of anticipation for this all day, frankly, in both parties, because this governor's race in many ways so dependent on what those Maricopa County numbers look like. And you could see 57% is what Kari Lake gets out of that final big batch. It pulls her a little closer, but she's still more than 20,000 votes behind Katie Hobbs in this race.
So we're still waiting for that populating in the Attorney General race.
I think it's now in.
There it is. Oh, wow. So that gets, but Chris Mays is still up in that race.
Still up. And that's a range where if you're Kari Lake, you might, if Kari Lake were facing a 4,100 vote deficit right now, you could perhaps see from some of these rural areas, from some of these outstanding areas, that's where she was hoping to get. And I think that's where, if not ahead, within striking distance. But 20,000 is a whole different ballgame than 4,400.
So this right now, we've got at this late hour, and this is one of the maybe the quintessential swing state in the U.S. right now, right? A 10,000 vote margin for Joe Biden, a popular Republican governor who won last time easily, right? Doug Ducey. This right now is a loss, a called race loss for Republicans in their Senate race, a called race loss in Secretary of State race. A gubernatorial candidate who now is down 20,000 votes and has a hard time, and an attorney general who's also down 4,000 votes, although maybe within spitting distance, depending on what vote is out there. But right now, we step back, looking at the slate fielded by the Republican Party of Arizona, it doesn't look like a particularly successful slate.
Well, certainly. I mean, there's the possibility here, if Hobbs does hang on here, that's 3 of the 4 that have lost from this Republican slate. And then, this attorney general's race, obviously, as we just showed you, is extremely tight here. So Republicans, I think, would. Now, the one thing is when you look at the 2024 angle on this in terms of election certification in 2024, in Arizona, all 4 of these statewide elected officials need to sign off on a state certification. So Hamadeh is still very much in the attorney general's race if he were to vault past Mays. That's a huge if, because Mays still has some places where she could rack up more votes here. So she could certainly protect that lead she has. It's a much slimmer lead for the Democrats in the attorney general's race than the governor's race, where it's north of 20,000 votes right now. But there's the possibility here that all 4 of those Trump-aligned candidates could lose this race in Arizona. And just for perspective, this was 2020 presidential election. We'll show you what Arizona looked like if you need to be reminded here. But this was Joe Biden. It was, I said just under 10. It was just over 10,000 votes was Joe Biden's margin over Donald Trump in the state. It was 0.3 of 1 point. If you went back to 2016, Trump had carried this state by about 3.5 points. This is one of those states that Joe Biden flipped. And now in 2022, Democrats are holding out hope that they could go 4 for 4 in the statewide offices.
Wow.
And that was if you're a Democrat, that was an encouraging update for you just now out of Maricopa County.
All right. NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard has actually been covering the election in Arizona for months. And he's now at Mar-a-Lago, where tomorrow Donald Trump is expected to announce another run for president. Vaughn, your reaction to this latest news?